point is that you're supposed to have this one Muslim Ummah, the 1.7 billion Muslims around the world. If you break it down to only Sunnis are real Muslims,
most of them
the people who are in ISIS at the moment are not real Muslims. Shias are not Muslims. Ahmadiyas are not real Muslims. How many real Muslims are there? Would a real Muslim please stand up?
If my phone dropped, that's an effect, right? What was the cause? It's a boy, yeah. I left my hand. I did attention. It didn't randomly jump out my pocket. I don't remember that. Anyway, so how the cause, right? Anything that has an effect on the cause.
I heard of a process that's easy, a process.
Give me some.
My process, I'm going to walk half of this between me and you. And then half between that and that. And half between that and that. I'll keep going forward.
It doesn't work.
I'm not going to get to you.
Because I can do that.
No, it's an infinite going out.
Oh, they wrote in maths it works. In the real life it doesn't work.
It's like a circle. There's number 9. 3.14. Numbers goes on.
In maths and things exist.
If you try and accelerate the proton in the particle accelerator, it goes to 99.99999% of the real light. It never actually reaches it. It's an infinite process.
In maths.
If you went in that direction, how far did you think
as far as the observable universe.
You sure about that?
That's my yes, I understand, but
what about when you pass that line, then what?
Here's the limit on it. If I threw it up here, listen, what goes up comes down. If I threw it up past the escape velocity of this planet, it's not going to come down.
Yeah, but what was the cause? The fact that you actually had enough force to make it leave the gravity of Earth. And everything has a cause, has an effect.
Has an effect, yeah. If you use a thing,
that's what we're trying to do. Yeah, everything has an effect, has a cause. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That cannot be broken down in any shape or form. Because everything that we see in terms of science, every effect has a cause.
You have infinite processes though.
So you believe in the Big Bang, yeah? That the universe was created at the Big Bang?
From the model that we have now, yes.
So you believe the Big Bang is true and the universe was created at that time? Yeah?
Time is, I don't know anything about time. Time is very relative, so time equals t equals 0.
Okay,
we don't even know what that means.
According to them, time and space were both came into existence at that point.
Yeah.
So what happened before that?
Okay. The answer I give you, right? So you're expecting me to say that God did it.
Obviously, you're the one that's saying that everything had a cause.
So your question is already loaded.
No, it's because you've already told me what you think.
No.
So I already know what the answer's going to be. So for you to change it now, it'd be just funny.
Okay, no, I'm not changing it. So
just say God did it.
Okay, no. I would say a deity, an external force outside.
Wait a minute, bro. A minute ago you were saying that you're 100% sure Allah exists, 100% sure Allah exists. So why are you talking about a deity now?
No,
why did you say Allah?
Because you guys have a problem with this.
No, I don't.
I'm trying to.
Bro, just say it.
No.
Just say what you mean.
That's what
Why you tapping?
No.
We're all going to the truth here.
Yeah, of course. But the thing is, if I use some words that have a lot of baggage, automatically your mind should come.
Use deity if you want to use
He don't care. I debate him because he don't care, bro. He knows.
Okay, I would say that Allah created it and He exists forever. That created the universe. That seems more logical than the universe.
How can you agree with me a minute ago when we said that time and space both came into being, and now you're talking about before that time? How can you have how can you use temporal framework and words when you're talking about a time before time existed?
For example, time.
You can say anything and then use magic as a way of getting out of it. But this is true, but magic means that we can still do this.
No, but that's not metaphysics. They're not saying
So metaphysics means it doesn't obey the physical laws. It's magic, isn't it?
Yes, I got it, yeah? Look at how cause and effect. Who caused God?
By the way, the best explanation does not need an explanation.
So God is infinite.
How do you mean infinite?
You just said there's nothing to be
inside this observable universe, this reality that we live in. There's no outside the reality. That's not my place
Oh,
to
so
say.
you kind of like believing in the multiverse. God
Yeah, but he's tied it in with
God
God.
could be in another universe. And create
No,
this
no, no, no,
universe.
not another universe. Because you have an idea of a universe having galaxies and stars. You've never seen outside this universe, right? Because
Wonder why that is. So outside the universe, yeah? It's outside of space and time.
yes, the way we know it.
So there's no thing in this outside the universe. So
No. There's nothing that you can possibly conceptualize right now.
But you are.
No. I'm not.
But you're trying to
I'm not
conceptualize, convincing me.
I do not know how he looks like. The only thing I know.
Stop it.
You don't know what he looks like. You don't know where he is. You don't know what time he's in. You don't know if he exists.
No. I don't need to know that.
Exists.
Okay, I don't need to know that to know that he exists.
So you don't know anything about it?
So you don't know what
we
exists.
know. No, we know certain things about it. What do you know? For example, okay, tell me where my logic breaks down.
I just asked you a question.
No, because we have because that's completely irrelevant.
It's in your brain.
It's irrelevant. That's why. It's irrelevant. Okay, just break
Millions of
break
neurons in your
down.
brain, breaking it down, information.
Break down my premise. That's what you have to do. Don't go. What's your premise? Okay, my premise is that the universe had a beginning. Okay.
I disagree. No one says that.
Okay.
You're the only person, religious people are the only people that say that.
Okay. By the current model we have, it looks like the universe at the beginning.
Yeah, and when that changes, what are you guys going to do then? You're going to say, oh, when we always knew the universe existed forever. We always knew that. Guys, just respect it.
I don't believe that will change.
How dare you?
What's the point in doing science if you don't think you're learning anything new?
Then all the
Okay.
experts in the world.
I know that if I drop my phone anytime,
We're not talking about dropping your phone. We're talking about the universe, yeah? And you are claiming to know things about it that the greatest experts do not claim to know.
No. I'm not saying I know more than them.
Yes, you do, because you said that that won't change, and they will say that we are open to interpretation, we are open to modification.
By the way, you hold scientists too high of
Me, he's the one that said the
Way
Big Bang.
high of a
He's the one that said the Big Bang will never change. That model will never change. And I hold scientists too high.
You think there's some sort of deity that you look at, whatever the scientists say, I will go with it. That's what I mean. I think there's something scientists know.
Projection, bro. This is you. Describe it yourself.
It looks like some scientists might know something, I might not know, and I might know something that scientists might not know.
Demonstrate it. Everybody rules. Demonstrate.
Maybe you're holding the Quran too high. We evolve our knowledge. We learn more.
So you're getting this.
Stay open to like wrong about stuff. Stay open to learning new stuff.
You use your brain and science. You hold it at too much of a high pattern. You can't prove the assumption of science to begin with. Okay?
What are you going to use then? Supernatural?
No.
Stuff and a man walking into a cave and speaking to a ghost.
That's more reliable, yeah?
And writing a book. Is that more reliable than your common sense?
First of all, we're not going there. Let's just finish before we going to go in so many tangents.
Bro, let's keep it simple. So what is it that you're so sure is
Okay,
true?
right now we think that, so it looks like the universe had a beginning, it looks like, right? Yeah. So it looks like that the universe wasn't always here. It looks like, right?
For the time being.
No, so
No, not
what do you mean? So
necessarily. Not necessarily.
You're claiming science at the gaps now.
What if I keep telling you? Stop being so absolutist.
No, I'm not, it's not absolute.
Well,
I
I'm
said
going
it
to
looks
explain
like,
this to you
looks like.
again. This is the 5th time and I've done it very thoroughly. These guys are going to think I'm one of the Dawah lot, repeating my same stuff again and again. I'm only doing it because you're genuinely not understanding.
I understand what
you're
saying.
not understanding.
Let me explain.
Bro, stop telling me I definitely think this.
I didn't say definitely.
Yes, you
I
are.
said it looks like.
It looks like the universe had a beginning.
So my logic doesn't break down at any point
Yes, it
right
does.
now. What does it break?
Yes, it does, because that's not an absolute fact. Even the scientists who promote that theory say that it is still open to be changed.
But has it
If
been
not-
changed right now?
No, not today.
So my logic right
No, but
now
it's not-
doesn't stand.
it's
Right
not
now. My logic
No,
right
it
now
doesn't stand, because that's not even the most convincing story. That's not even the most universally accepted theory. That's not even the most consensual theory. There are other theories out there.
People add more to the equation all the time, you know?
Okay, by the way, this was in the 1970s. This was
Yeah, and a lot has happened since then.
Yeah.
So a lot of scientists
Yeah.
nowadays say the universe probably
This
exists.
is 2017 now, man.
Back then they used to say the universe.
Why are you holding on to 30-year-old science and claiming it to be absolute when it's already been superseded?
I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. 30 years ago, okay, maybe 40 years ago now, scientists used to say that the universe was always there. It's a brute fact. The universe was always there. Right?
But right now they have mathematical models.
It had a beginning.
That's so different to that.
I'm saying this is what scientists have said 40 years ago, that the universe was always there.
No, listen, my
changed.
friend, you hear one thing from one scientist, and then suddenly you think that represents the whole of science. Therefore, you can use that and put that, inject that into your thinking.
Okay, so if Stephen Hawking says something right now, you would take it as...
No, I wouldn't.
So you would need to see like 100 scientists before you...
It will get peer reviewed. It gets peer reviewed by other scientists, and they find flaws in it. They try to falsify it.
That's what everybody thinks. It might be true, but I still not 100% sure.
So you're not sure about anything?
Did you know the universe, 90% of the universe is dark matter, it's dark energy.
Because I'm honest about the things I think I don't know, that makes me confused. Whereas you make magical claims about dimensions. Wait a minute, you make magical claims about dimensions that you have not demonstrated to exist, and you're looking at me as if I'm being silly.
Bro, when I say I haven't proved to exist, I can prove it logically, not scientifically.
Prove it logically.
Okay? Now you tell me where my logic breaks down, and then I'll talk through.
Go on in. Go on in. Tell me your logic.
No, because you're making negative affirmations to something that you don't know, which means you have to know.
No, I want to hear your logic. Tell me your logic first, and I'll tell you where it breaks down.
Okay. So it looks like the universe had a beginning. Does it not look like that?
To some people, yeah.
To some people.
Here's the inventor of inflationary model. Read the paragraph where my index finger is. Can you read that paragraph at the bottom?
Yeah. Alan Guth. I don't know if the universe had a beginning. I suspect the universe didn't have a beginning. It's very likely eternal, but nobody knows.
By the way, that's an inflation model that scientists that backs up. That's not a consensus. That's a very fringe minority.
This is the best model we have.
That's the best model we have.
And you calling that a fringe minority? How can
you kept yourself out of it? I saw that. We can talk about other things.
You got, man, just stay open to new knowledge, yeah?
No, of course I'm open to new knowledge.
Just people are doing a lot of research in this, paying a lot of time, spending the whole life studying this stuff, you know? We don't know we haven't got the full conclusive answer yet, you know? So basically, that's just what I'm saying. You stay open to new information. Okay. And the best way to stay open is to realise that you can falsify what you already know and you can be wrong. And that's what, so you can learn and learn more. We can learn more about this world we're living in.
So what's the point of doing all these scientific researches? What's the point?
To find out more. I mean, if you're a Muslim, you're going to find out more about God's wonderful creation, yeah? Right? I'm not a Muslim. I could be a Christian, I could be a Hindu, a Buddhist, or whatever. But I still want to find out more about this wonderful creation that I'm living on.
Yeah,
you know, that's the truthful way of doing things, you know? It's not about me trying to ridicule you or you trying to ridicule me.
Traditionally, Muslims have always been open to science. In the last maybe 200 years where we've got this hardline attitude that science
I wouldn't say always, but there have been.
Have you two always been Muslims?
I've always been Muslim.
You've always been a Muslim?
I don't think science Islam is against science.
Yeah, but the thing is, how lucky are you, to be born into a religion which has the ultimate truth? All the Christians, all the Buddhists, all the Hindus and Jews are unlucky and born into a falsehood. You know, so you look around the world, you think to yourself, why would God do that? Why would He make people like you, be born into the right religion and the right truth? And I'm not.
Question if you don't believe He exists.
I used to be a Catholic. So I used to believe He exists, but the Catholics thought that all Muslims are going to burn in hell. And Muslims means that all non-believers are worse than cattle and they're going to burn in hell.
We don't say anything about non-believers.
But the Quran is obsessed with non-believers. It's obsessed with what punishment they're going to suffer.
People talk about non-believers. Tommy Robinson does this as well. When it says...
Tommy who?
Tommy Robinson in his new Quran, I've got it. I'm doing a reputation of that.
Yeah, I want to read it.
So I've got it, my friend.
Oh, the Amazon bestseller. That's the one. Yeah, I've heard of it.
This is what a lot of Islamophobes do. I'm not saying you guys are Islamophobes, but there are a lot of Islamophobes out there. Say, oh look, it says there about non-believers. They're all going to hell. Look how it says Muslims kill the non-Muslims. When the Quran, this is the problem with not knowing Arabic, and I know this is a common thing that Muslims say, oh, you don't know Arabic. But the pre-Islamic Arabic, when they were talking there was this thing within their Arabic that wasn't talking about general. It was talking about specific people. So, for example, when it says kill non-believers, it was talking about exactly those people.
Why would a book for all time and all humanity talk about the local political squabbles?
But this is what me and you always discuss. My position is always that traditionally the book wasn't for lay people. It was there.
Yeah, what's so important for the rest of us now to be learning about the political squabbles of little
traditionally,
tribes?
early Muslims, it was the scholars who had studied the Arabic language for 10, 15 years. Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah, for example, 15. This is important because a word, if it's misinterpreted, and there was lots of sects within Islam and misinterpret. They use it and they use it. You know.
But don't you think that an intelligent person, yeah, is going to tell someone, write a book, say, kill the non-believers? Don't you think that that could be misinterpreted to mean kill people who don't believe in your religion?
The normative position has never been opened like anyone can interpret the Quran. That's what we say people deviants do.
The thing is,
Is that right?
So you can't interpret it?
No, lay people can't interpret.
What's the point? You got an omniscient God that's going to write a book that lay people can't interpret.
You to go to people. The Quran says, if you don't know, ask those who know.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what
but how do you know who knows?
Exactly. Well, then it's up to you. So we have the 4 schools of Madhab here. We have the Hanafi, Shafi, Maliki.
Why should anyone take any of them seriously?
Because there's people who have studied within that.
So what?
And
Well, al-Baghdadi had a PhD in Islam.
So let's just say, for example, let's say I picked up a medical book right now, I read a few pages, and I wanted to be a surgeon.
But you can refer to the science to validate everything that's said.
Am I allowed
to
operate? Am I allowed to operate?
Bro, the thing
can't.
is, your
I
analogy
can't.
is silly because you can't do that with the Quran. There's no physical scientific tests available to validate it.
No, it's not.
With your
No.
medical textbook, you can
No.
check everything and go to a bloody hospital and make sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be. But with the Quran, all you have is hundreds of bloody scholars for dollars making money off idiots telling them this is the way to read
Some
it.
people who have been scholars for dollars, but traditionally,
All of them.
No, they haven't been all of them.
What is the one
We've had
unique
that- we've had
interpretation?
some
What is the true
No, but
interpretation
this
of
is the
Islam?
thing. This is the
You have
beauty of
your
the
one,
Arabic
he
language.
has-
This is the thing.
It's
and-
not a
and
beauty.
I think
That
it's a
is
beauty.
not a feature, that's
one
a
word.
bug.
No. This is and we discussed this with Jill Tonic. Well, I wasn't on the show. But you asked the question, why Arabic when it can mean so many different things? I believe that's a mercy from Allah because it's
What,
for
that
every
people,
time and
what,
place.
that people kill each
No,
other
no.
over what he wrote?
Listen,
Yeah?
all
That
your
people kill
questions
each
are
other.
loaded,
Bro, it's just silly. You're telling me that an all-knowing being wrote a silly book in a
It's
silly
not.
language
This is
that can
the
be
thing.
interpreted thousands of different
You
ways.
had a really, no, listen. You had a really eloquent speaker in London, yeah, a few years ago, and he's in prison now, yeah. But he influenced a lot of people, youngsters in London and around the world in Europe. His name is Amjad Chowdhury. Yeah. What did you think of him when you hung around
That's
him?
what I'm saying.
Did you think he was a good Muslim?
I think at the time I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And this is why this exactly.
Well, I'm glad you know that.
That's what I'm saying.
Listen, this proves my point.
Do you still
I
bring it-
didn't know about Ansar Chowdhury. He was elegant. He had a big beard.
Yeah.
He was wear top.
How do you know your interpretation is better than his?
So what I'm saying is,
How do you know your interpretation
he
is
nearly
better
led
than
me down that wrong road.
Yeah, exactly. That's the danger.
He really led me
You could have been in ISIS now. You're from.
Absolutely. So,
So
that's why.
do you
That's why
still?
it has to be qualified scholarship.
But do you
So
think?
we'll
Do you think?
go back to that.
Do you think he's still a good Muslim?
No.
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 So you wouldn't like sanction him and recommend him listen to what he's saying, yeah? But right now he's in Belmarsh prison or whatever, converting hundreds, probably thousands of young people there who are disadvantaged. Now this is the book that he's using, the same Quran, which was written in a kind of language which you say is difficult to interpret.
You've just proved my point that anyone who's with a big beard or anyone that picks up the Quran and starts interpreting or has a thing and says, oh, I can read Arabic, that's all the prerequisite, that's going to lead people to that thing.
Yeah.
And the Quran has got those verses.
It's got the verses,
But that's why it's left
Why
for the
shouldn't someone
scholars.
interpret it like that?
Yeah.
Because we as Muslims, there's always been a normative version of Islam. And the normative version of Islam says...
What do you mean, a peaceful mistranslation or misinterpretation?
No, listen, Islam there's a normative version that says you do not kill innocents, you do not... And that,
Except sometimes you do.
No, innocence, okay, so you made a claim.
Look, the way I see it, yeah? The way I see it, I see you, all brothers, yeah? We're all equal, yeah? Now the Quran says that non-believers are like cattle,
Okay.
or even worse than cattle.
I just explained that to you.
Yeah, but
it's
can't you
not generally.
can you see how that's
It's
offensive?
not true,
It's divisive.
You
And
have
this
to
is-
add that
No.
interpretation.
And
Does
this-
it specify that
no.
we're talking about him and him and nobody else?
This is exactly
No, it
what we're
doesn't.
saying.
So we have every right to interpret it talking about all non-believers.
And that's the arrogant
And if Allah's got a
approach.
problem, why didn't he just be more clear? If Allah's got a problem, why didn't he just be more clear?
You need to, so the Quran, you actually need to do some hermeneutics with it. And you are
You
not
only have
qualified.
to do that is because it's so stupid.
Okay,
Do you think I'm worse than cattle?
Bro,
Do you think I'm worse than cattle?
God is all
You
powerful.
don't.
He could have wrote something.
If you don't think that, then you're going against what your Quran says.
if you take a verse and you read it exactly how it is,
Yeah.
It's just made up.
then that means anyone can read the Quran.
It's just made up.
So do you think I'm worse than cattle?
Okay, the thing is, right?
No, you have to ignore that stuff.
Do you?
To get by in this day and age.
Just tell him no.
Just say no.
I don't know about the tafsir because I have to refer back. So I
Just
don't
say
know
no. I'm a human being. I'm standing in front of you now. Don't worry about what the takfir says, yeah? As a human being, do you think that I'm worse than cattle? No, good. That's all I wanted to hear. That's all I wanted to hear. So whether your book says I am, that as a human being with a humanitarian spirit and everything, like me and you are humans, you cannot tell me that I'm worse than cattle because you know it's offensive to me. Like if I say to you,
and you should be
you know, you're worse than cattle.
And there's people that will tell you that is an interpretation.
Yeah.
But we say that's a deviant interpretation, and that's always been a principle.
Yeah, so there's a possibility that the book is wrong. There's some parts of the books which are not true.
Because we have a normative. This is the thing. People say, oh, Islam doesn't have a quote, you know, your interpretation is just that's a very postmodern thing. We've always had a normative interpretation of
The thing is,
Islam.
you need to argue with the other Muslims.
I do, and
I don't really care what your particular version of it is. As far as I'm concerned, it's just as rubbish as their one. No, you're the one that has the issue amongst yourselves.
This is the thing. If you come with an arrogant approach, then we have.
Bro, it's just made up. Give me a reason why I should believe that any magical dimension or any magical being or anything outside of the universe exists. Let's start there. Why should anyone think any of that stuff exists? Why?
Forget talking about like interdialogue.
Bro, I don't care what's written in the Quran. It's just nonsense. It's rubbish. It's just silly rubbish. Why don't we talk about why anyone should believe that any of that stuff exists in the first place? Because there's no point talking about the Quran unless we establish.
No, we have to establish that
Is there any good reason to believe that there is another dimension outside of the physical reality?
Yes.
What is that reason?
And I keep alluding to this point, but you keep saying no, science will change. That's not 100% fact. Then why are we doing science?
Science does change. That's the whole beauty of science. It learns more, you update more, you stand on the shoulders of giants, and the more you learn, the more you come towards the truth.
By the way, when you say standing on the shoulders of giants, it sounds like these shoulders change all the time.
Yeah, they do.
Shoulders
They
break
do.
down.
From Galileo, from Bruno, Galileo, from Newton, Einstein, Stephen Hawking. They're learning from what people have.
I'm going to go off to this here. So I was telling you about the rhetorical device, and this is why Muslims used to study logic, rhetoric. They used to study the Arabic pre-Islamic poetry. When you generalize, but you're talking about specific groups. So numerous verses are in Baqarah and the Jews will not be pleased with me, the Christians will not be. This is what I'm saying.
Sorry, go on.
Does the Quran ever say anything
It
to
says
all
kill the
Muslims?
Jews. It says I'm not paraphrasing here, but you know, it talks about cattle and stuff. Non-Muslim. This is the problem. When labeled people like me and you, we just pick up the Quran and we look at it. Of course, it's going to be shocked. You know,
It wouldn't be better if it didn't say kill the Jews, or if it didn't say non-believers are like cattle.
We've been intellectually honest.
His point was
that
to understand the Quran, you have to understand that when it talks about a general group, it's actually talking about specific groups.
and that's why you know. No, it's not.
And I've got to learn Arabic, the Haramid.
Why couldn't it have just said what it means? Or why couldn't it have said that in the Quran as well?
Because the
Did it say that in the Quran?
is for
Did it say that in the Quran?
This is what I'm saying. Arrogant people just
Did
want
it
to
say
pick up
that
the
in the Quran? That you have to, when we say generalize, you have to talk, we're talking about
It says
So
we
the
have
Quran
general.
it says if you do not ask the people who know.
No.
So that is we refer to qualified scholarship. Now listen, it's like you never really answered this question that I asked you before. Yeah. Allow me to finish my point. So you can't practice law or you can't practice medicine until you've studied 5, 6, 7, 8 years. We're dealing with a book that's in your next life. I know you don't believe that can affect your.
But you said it yourself. That scholar you used to follow was a qualified scholar, a lawyer as well, Amjad Chowdhury.
No, he wasn't a qualified scholar.
He wasn't
So, all right, then look at that guy who, what's his name, al-Baghdadi.
Zabadawi.
Yeah, the leader of ISIS. He's got a PhD in Islamic studies.
Azabari.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I spent a number of years with them.
Yeah.
They were clowns.
There's a lot. There's a lot of people, who are Muslims. Like for instance, you've got some really good. My neighbours are Muslims. They're Ahmadiyya Muslims. Yeah. Really nice people.
Consider them Muslims. We don't
And you don't consider them Muslims. I know. So how divisive that? You got this
Why
big.
should we take any of this
Yeah.
seriously?
You don't have to take it seriously. You don't.
They go to a mosque. It's got peace and love outside of it.
I'm
Yeah.
arguing for ignorance.
You don't.
And you don't even consider them Muslims.
That's why I don't take it
It's fine.
seriously.
But atheists seem to be obsessed with Islam.
I know you got a reason why you don't consider them Muslims, yeah? And you may not consider Shias to be Muslims as well, or Sufis to be Muslims. But the whole point is that you're supposed to have this one Muslim ummah, the 1.7 billion Muslims around the world. If you break it down to only Sunnis are real Muslims,
Yeah, most of them say
the people who are in ISIS at the moment are not real Muslims, Shias are not Muslims, Ahmadiyyas are not real Muslims. How many real Muslims are there? Would a real Muslim please stand up? You're the real Muslims.
No. Ahmadiyya, or what we call Qadianis, we don't consider them Muslims. Sunnis and Shias, both of us, we don't.
So what's that? These guys have their beliefs.
No. Some do. Hanafis, we consider Shias Muslim. So.
Bro, the point is that it's obviously not perfect, is it? It's so open to misinterpretation.
Yeah, and you consider non-believers to be worse than cattle?
So just like
what the hell, man?
Science, where you've got different theories, you've got different things, and you discuss those ideas, and it forces you to think. Similarly with Islam, you've got different interpretations.
It doesn't force you to think.
No,
It doesn't force you to think.
It forces you to
accept
What does that ayah
nonsense.
mean? What does this ayah mean? And the scholars debate it, and that's what created
Yeah, but
the
it
culture of
expects you
learning.
to accept it without evidence.
What's that?
It expects you to accept it without evidence.
No, it doesn't. No.
Where's the evidence?
No.
Show me the evidence.
First of all, if you submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you submit to Allah subhanahu wa
Why does
ta'ala,
Allah ask us to use our minds? Use our brains.
there is some.
So in one place it says use your mind, but then everything else is true.
Use your brain. You should use your brain. You should use your brain. That's what I mean. Yeah. Now, I'm not a Muslim, yeah? In fact, I'm an atheist. So, in Muslim terms, I am a non-believer, and I'm going to call you a kafir or whatever, yeah? Now, it says non-believers are worse than cattle in Islam,
I've already
yeah?
explained that.
And do you believe that? I'm worse than cattle.
In what sense?
It says in the book that a cattle, you can give them the knowledge about Islam, but they haven't got the rational ability to understand it. But someone like me, you can tell me about Islam, I can read a book and I think, no, I don't believe it. So basically, you're saying that I'm not giving any props or respect or appreciation to the God that created me. And I'm here, living on this planet, breathing this earth. And I can understand the feeling. If I had a brother that's not respecting my dad and he's doing all this thing for me, I'm going to look down on him. I'm going to look at him like as a kind of, what kind of man is this, you know?
Your dad definitely exists though.
So the fact that you might think, oh, non-believers are worse than cattle,
I don't
it's
believe that.
It's dehumanizing me. It's kind of like making you guys in a superior situation whereby you've got the one true God, and God has chosen you to give you the book written in Arabic, which I can't understand. Even if I did understand it, I've got to try and interpret it by scholars.
But this is what I'm saying. If I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's where it starts from. Then I believe, I look around, I believe in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it follows. Then I believe in the Quran.
Yeah.
Why do you believe any of these things?
Why? Because I believe...
Because let me say that, please.
Okay, I'll say, okay. I believe there's a number of arguments to support our
What's your best one?
Yeah, I believe that they can't, it's not just one. It's kalam.
No, wait. We can only deal with one at a time.
No,
before you list all your arguments, expect to wait to them.
So I've got,
One
there's a
point at a
kalam
time.
there's the moral argument. There's the argument through fitrah.
they're all weak.
But this is what I'm saying. For you, they're weak.
Are you saying that I'm moral? Are you saying that I'm immoral then?
No, I'm saying
because the moral argument
don't. Ask me a question. Why do I believe?
Yeah.
And I'm answering that. I'm saying no. I don't believe it's just one argument. I believe the combination of arguments. I believe it's the combination of arguments. I believe in God. My belief.
So none of them is independently true.
No, I believe they are all true.
So then use one of them and let's see if it's true.
No, we will discuss that. This is because each argument takes a long time, right? And
do you expect us to accept that you've got a long list of arguments you think are true, but we may or may not agree with them?
You may not agree with them, absolutely. I agree.
And if I don't agree with them, what happens to me? What's the punishment if I don't agree with it?
Listen, I can't say who you are.
There's nothing.
Can I just say, I don't agree with you, but I've lived in the Arab world for 16 years. I was born in the Arab world. I know all about this, but everybody is entitled to believe in what they choose to believe in. I don't care what colour you are, what religion you are. It is about acceptance and respect for one another. That's it.
And the freedom to non-believe as well.
Absolutely.
And the freedom to not
believe.
absolutely.
Yeah, but the problem is in this world at the moment, there's 13 countries, Muslim countries, where the penalty for apostasy
and it's a problem.
is on the statute books and says.
It's a problem.
So people are getting killed.
But they are
for
minority. You're talking about crazy
if you
bastards.
was living in Saudi Arabia,
I live in Dubai.
All right, and you was a Muslim, then you decide, I don't believe this no more.
I love Muslims, my best friend.
And you decide to walk right down the street as you are, with your hair out, you could be in serious trouble.
In Saudi, yes.
Yeah.
Serious trouble? They prefer you to be hijabbed.
You don't think you'd be in serious trouble?
Yeah, you respect someone's culture, right?
Are you allowed to build a church in Saudi Arabia? Do they respect
I don't know about Saudi.
might be able to. I'm not sure. I don't want to answer that. I don't know.
Honestly, who cares though? Why do you care?
Why do I care?
Church in Saudi?
Because I live in this world with everyone else. I see these people as my brothers and sisters. I don't like to have a situation whereby I'm seen as inferior to anybody else.
Yes, of
Now,
course.
if your religion is telling me that I'm cattle or I'm worse than cattle,
But we dealt with that already,
yeah.
and I told you that we don't.
I've had Muslims telling me that same thing, and they don't see a problem with it.
Minority,
Okay.
mate.
It's
Exactly,
And
and this is the problem. We have a literal
And
interpretation.
these guys,
going on.
my Muslim friends,
Yeah.
are wiped across. You
Yes.
Muslim, and I hate it.
I love my Muslim brothers and sisters as well, just like everyone else.
Exactly. And in traditional Islam, we believe that everyone is brothers and sisters in humanity first, deen. And then we also have a connection in the next one, deen. So we're all brothers and sisters. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ says, love for your brother what you love for yourself. And Imam Nawawi and many of the top scholars have said that's brothers and sisters in humanity. So we're all brothers and sisters in humanity. The problem is, yes, we have hardline, literalist approach. Anytime anyone, be it the Bible, be it the Quran, be it the Torah, when you get literalist approach, that's what's going to cause problems.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
And it's in every, you have heavy duty Christians, you're up to all sorts of stuff. It's just not in the same degree as we've had recently in London, for instance.
Scholars have actually had different opinion on that very verse.
It's changing. It's getting more risky, and we are all aware, and I don't believe that it's...
I mean, it's changing slowly. I mean, I see you had a homosexual gay here.
Yeah, Paul.
And a lot of people were attacking him, right? But a lot of Muslim brothers were defending him.
I was there
Defending him, you know what I mean? And this is a man who identifies as gay and a Muslim. This would have been unheard of, you know what I mean, 10 years ago. So you can see like the things are changing. Slowly it's changing.
It's just recently, in maybe last 100, 200 years, it's become a lot more. Very nice meeting you. Thanks for your...
All right, bye. And like, so you was under the influence of Amjad Chowdhury a few years ago.
Yes, and I was the most intolerant person probably in the whole of this part.
Exactly. And now you realise that what this man was teaching you was kind of like leading you down a more extremist path.
What I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. That was people interpreting the Quran saying, oh, here it says that. You know what you're doing? What you said, it says, believe the non-Muslims are cattle. I realised then I studied Islam. That's what I'm saying. For the last 10 years, I've been on a journey studying Islam, and I realised that's a deviant and there's a fringe minority opinion. Do you know what I mean? So there's plenty of verses, but it's not for everyone to interpret. That's what I'm saying. You probably missed that comment.
I mean, look at Judaism, for instance. The amount of violent verses in there about killing the Amalekites, killing all the Sodomites and stuff like that, Jericho, the Midianites, Moses with it, and Joseph. And there's so much stuff about killing your own children and babies. But you don't find Jews nowadays doing that literally. You know, they still have their belief, they still have their culture, and they're proud of their belief, proud of their culture. Like I'm sure you're proud of your culture. You know what I mean? But you don't take the literal verses and see other people as inferior to you.
There's literalism that's coming to. So it says in a hadith, you know, we have to do this, and then people go around. Oh, you've seen the hadith, we'll do it. Or it's in the Quran, we do it. This is what we're fighting. We're fighting. And it's not. And this is traditional thing. We say, you know, we refer to qualified scholarship that has studied this. Like, and that was my example about, you know, being a doctor or a lawyer. I come from a legal background. You know, I had to study for that. You know, then you get qualified, you get called to the bar, etc. You have to, and you can't just go and practice illegal to do so.
What do you think of that Muslim that used to be, one Muslim used to be extremist, Majid Nawaz? And now he's on the radio, he's talking about reform. And he's talking the same kind of language like you are. You know?
My issue
what do you
with
think
Majid,
about him?
my issue with Majid is he believes that we just do away with the verses that we don't agree with. I disagree.
So you don't support him?
No, I don't. And I'll tell you why. I think Majid is very articulate, and I think we should certainly listen to his opinions. I believe in the Quran. I believe that the Quran doesn't stay static, and I believe we have scholarship that says ethics are related to the time. So when the ethics change at the time, the Quran has to be relevant, has to reflect the time. I'll give you an example: slavery. I don't believe in slavery, and I believe Islam set motions to eliminate slavery.
But
with Majid then? He just extends that to the other rulers.
He says just get rid of. He says just my understanding of Majid. Now I don't want to misrepresent it. He believes that it's a 7th century book, and he's written that.
So he's contextualized the way you've done with slavery, though. So he's contextualized for the other.
So
just taking one step further than you.
So my thing is that if we tell Muslims, we got to get rid of this, blah blah blah. We don't like this interpretation, and it has to. He's very secular. I'm not secular. I don't believe secular.
So you couldn't just tell Muslims, to get rid of slavery.
Yeah, but listen to what I'm saying. Is if it comes from the West or it comes from, this is the problem. It will always be rejected. If you tell Muslims from their own scholars, look, we've had these opinions and we can demonstrate that from the Hanafi, Shafi, Maliki, Hanbali, and we've got these opinions. Do you know what I mean? Well, then it's more likely that there's going to be real change.
I heard that in the Middle East before Muhammad came there, some of the Arabs were doing some really terrible things like sacrificing babies and stuff like that, and eating pork or whatever, And then when he had the book, Muhammad gave a revelation, said like, stop doing this, stop eating pork, you know what I mean? Pray 5 times a day. So he did tell them directly, stop doing this and do this. So why don't you just say to them, stop having slaves, you know what I mean? And treat everyone equal, free all your slaves now.
Because we believe that this is the thing, we have to look at how slaves were treated before. Now, slavery was an institution already within the Arabian culture, in China, in Byzantine, in Persia. In the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we believe we have the best example. The way he had slaves. Let's be absolutely ambiguous.
He had slaves.
The way he treated them were like his own. So he had his adopted son, who he called his adopted son. It wasn't just like he's a slave.
He owned him.
His mother, he had another Barakah, who was a black lady, who he said is my mother. And then we have the hadith that paradise is the feet. He used to clean her. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to clean her feet.
Did he buy and sell any slaves?
As far as I know, he didn't buy any. He was gifted slaves.
Did he take any slaves as wives?
Yes, but they then become their status of umwarak. So they become the status of a wife. So when Muslims saw that and they saw how he treated them, this had a bigger impact.
But did he also say if you're in a war and whoever you kill, the women you could take them who your right hands possess as slaves?
No, so there was people who in the pre-Islamic time that used to kill all their people. So when you take them at that time, this is the thing, we have to understand pre-Islamic culture, and a lot of people don't understand this. It was normal for people, women at that time, that when they were captured, there was these protocols. It's a very long discussion, but I'll give you a very brief summary. There was a protocol that if you could make it to the tent on time, you'd be free and stuff, or you'd be safe. But if you didn't make it to the tent and you ran and you got caught, you were then that property of the people.
But don't you think that's wrong? Because there's a better way of doing this, If you're at war with somebody, you kill all the men, then you can keep the women as prisoners of war or something. But when the war's over, I mean, you've got refugee camps, put them in a refugee camp or whatever, but then the war is over, you can free them.
Who would fund the refugee camps?
Who would fund them? Like, right now we have people funding them in this country. You have a zakat, was it zakat? Charity thing? So people could give their money to fund it.
If you look at the hadiths about women in there, it says anyone who has a slave, feeds her, educates her, and then marries her, he will be like this with me on the day of judgment. So he was about creating that social change.
The problem I have with that is that you said anybody who has a slave, they have to do this. Just say, don't have any slaves.
No, because if
slavery is wrong.
Let's say,
owning and buying and selling people is wrong.
This is the thing. When people are in slavery, there's a cycle. So let's just say, Prophet ﷺ, for example, let's just say he said, all right, abolish slavery. This was such an institution. I think it's almost naive of us to believe that you could just simply do that. Those women would then turn to prostitution.
That's what they were saying in the 14th century, a century ago when
free slavery, because expiation of sin was the best.
But what I'm also saying...
Sorry, so what did you say?
I'm saying the best way to expiate your sin, free a slave.
Free a slave.
There's so many hadiths about that. There's so many.
So you've got to have slaves to free them, is that what you're saying?
Let's talk about Black America now.
Institution.
You look at the crime rates, you look at who's incarcerated the most, you look at the most, look what happened in Hurricane Katrina. Yes, we've had liberation of slavery, whatever have you. We haven't had that social justice. In Islam, it wasn't race-based. Slavery was never race-based. It was, you could be an Arab, you could be in slavery. You could be black, you would be in slavery. You'd be white. In fact, most slaves were actually white in the Muslim Empire up until then.
The thing is, I don't understand how you could be standing here justifying slavery.
I'm not justifying slavery.
You're saying,
it
was equal opportunity slavery, black, white, Chinese, or whatever.
I'm saying that there was slavery and there was an institution. For us to think that we could simply say, no more slavery.
You can.
No.
God is omnipotent, He can do anything. He can say, right, like you're not allowed to eat pork. We're going to ban eating of pork. people might have loved having pork barbecues or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Or ban sacrificing your daughters, stuff like that. You know what I mean? All these things, like, all these prohibitions, you got like what you call it, haram.
Yes.
Yeah. In Islam, that you cannot do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so,
drinking alcohol.
But
You
slavery
cannot
is
do
a
it.
much bigger institution.
But you can do it. You can do it. You can't just say, oh, I cannot do it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a saying I have as an engineer.
Yeah.
If something broke, you fix it. You know what I mean? If it don't fit, make it fit. You know what I mean? So if slavery is such a horrible thing
it's a
that,
vile
that God's creatures are doing to each other, he could just say, stop doing that. We're going to find a new system.
What the Prophet ﷺ did, he never allowed there's no way that you could be enslaved.
He could introduce the minimum wage.
No, he never found, there was no institution says, he never said, in any hadith, you will find never hadith how to slave people. You will never find that.
It's possible.
It was always how to free people.
We live in a
but it wasn't just encouraging. It was ways of educating them, allowing them to be self-sufficient. And so this is the thing. So like my example, America, I believe is a good one. We abolished slavery, but look at what happened for even now. In 2017, look at how black people.
But the thing is, you abolish slavery. When you work, you probably all work, yeah? If you didn't work, then you have a social security system. That's gonna, my taxes are gonna pay for you or whatever to survive, you know, give you a basic minimum living. Now, that's a more humanitarian way to do things than to say,
and he did that as well.
Than to say, I'm going to take you and be my manservant or something like that and give you a roof and
he did that. And the zakat, there was zakat that was paid specifically for those who came out of slavery as well. And if you look at who slaved Islam, very early on we had a group that distorted very teachings of Islam. Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam, who the Shias believe is, I think, perhaps the fourth Imam. He bought all of these slaves, he educated them and he set them free. Had it not been for that, a lot of the Sunni and even the Shiite Islam that we have today wouldn't have been around, because there was people who sought to distort that. So the slaves, also many of the slaves,
he bought them
scholars,
and then set them free.
Yeah, many of the slaves became scholars as well. So we have Nafi'a, who was the teacher of Imam Malik rahimahullah, who was one of the greatest scholars of the time. He was a black Abbasid. We have many of the Abbasid caliphs.
Wait, he bought them from who?
He bought them from Arab slave traders. Not everyone was Muslim. No, and we also had the Christians as well. We had Jews. So the Arabian Peninsula, and you asked this question about building churches and stuff like that.
You see, in America, when they freed the slaves, they didn't have the North going to the South and buy up all the slaves and then set them free. They had the Civil War, you know? And they went to war against the South, and when they won the war, then they freed the slaves.
Yeah, but even when you look at even America and how they freed slavery, they had to pay off a lot of the landmasters. You know what I mean?
I know.
Years and years and years, with very high fees.
That's why they was against it. Therefore, it was like, even in here, William Wilberforce in England, they had to go to Parliament about 13 times to get it.
And do you know who abolished slavery first? It was Muslims. It was in San and Gambia. They were the ones that started I'm reading a book called The Walking Quran and stuff, where the professor, his name, his Bilal is his Muslim name, but Professor, I forgot his name, but it's a brilliant book. He documents how in San and Gambia, how the slave or the revolutions from African countries started it. The British then saw and said, oh yeah, this is a good idea, or we're going to lose control. They went into Haiti, and that's how slavery was abolished eventually.
Yeah, but there was a lot of countries around the world that didn't even have the concept of slavery. Wasn't even part of their, like people in the Amazon in South America, North America. They had no concept of slavery. In parts of Africa, we had the Sand tribes and stuff like that.
Well, possibly. I don't know so much. I know the Mayans, the Incas, the Chinese. It was such an institution.
But when you get an organization, that's built into an empire, the Ottoman Empire, and it goes across all of North Africa, and they have to finance it. They have to have workers to work the fields and the farms and stuff like that. They need this man force and the labor force.
Yes, and the Ottomans they enslaved white people from Europe and black people from Africa, and we condemn that.
And that's wrong. I know.
That's wrong. We condemn
that's
it.
wrong. Yeah.
So, but then we also did I'm not going to stand there and say Muslims enslaved. They did. And there was people that textually justified it. But this was due to the empire as well. So we had the Abbasid Empire, the Umayyad Empire before them. The Umayyad Empire was a great black empire, but it was probably the biggest black power movement ever. But you had the Abbasids, and then you had the Ottomans, the Mamluks. Mamluks were a slave dynasty. They were a slave dynasty that rose from slavery and actually came around and became.
So I take it you're Muslim as well, yeah? You're both Muslims?
Yeah. I'm a Muslim too.
You're Muslim too? Oh, hiya. I'm surrounded by Muslims, my Muslim brothers, man. How you doing?
Are you Muslim, yeah?
No.
So why do you
want to be our brother then?
Because I'm a brother in humanity, man. We're all human beings.
We want to be your brother.
You can be my brother.
So accept Islam.
No, you can be my brother as a human being.
Sorry, I'll leave you to it.
I'm a non-believer, man.
I think our conversation was finishing.
Yeah, we'll finish.
Christian?
No, I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a Christian. I'm not. I used to be a Christian, but I'm a non-believer now. I'm more atheist now.
Atheist or agnostic?
I'm an agnostic atheist.
So you believe that there is a creator?
No.
So you're right, straight up.